Greetings, this is Professor Moriarty. Today I'm going to tell you something you won't learn from any textbook or search engine. Multi-million-dollar wealth from a test tube. The magic of synthesis that turns liquid from a canister to a highly lucrative yet extremely dangerous substance. You've probably realized what we're talking about. How do cartels cook their drugs in the Mexican desert? You're going to learn a lot of interesting things today. Amphetamine, methamphetamine, and mephedrone are all products of a chemical synthesis or simply cooking. It's quite a popular job nowadays, you have to admit, because it's big and fast money. And to my deep regret, instructions of different quality and content are freely available on the net. But working, and especially according to self-made instructions, gives not just a low-quality product, but a real poison, which can cause irreparable harm to the cook or to those daredevils that will decide to taste that masterpieces of forbidden cookery. Let's go to the lab. This is the most important nucleus in the whole system of those who work with synthetics. The laboratory is the place where synthetics are born, in the truest sense of the word. From the initial raw material, after all stages of production, exactly the product is obtained, which then reaches the market. The raw materials are called precursors. The mere fact of storing some of them is already a criminal offense with serious penalties. Keep in mind, this video is not a guide of any sort. I am here to expose cartels and their methods. Drugs and any other type of crime will lead you to prison or death. Labs come in all shapes and sizes, depending on the scale of an operation. Could be a lone cook in some shed out in the middle of nowhere. Just a stove, a beaker, and a stirrer. Or it could be a full-blown factory, fully stacked with reactors, and a whole crew of competent techs. Once the lab's cooked up the batch, it gets dropped off at a quiet, safe spot, ready to move down the line. It could be a stash, a dead drop, or something more creative, like a shipment disguised as a bag of cement or a pack of bath salts. Next down the chain are the mules. They pull up to the drop where the fresh product is already stashed. From there, the product gets moved straight to its drop-off. The addressee can be a store that has made an order for wholesale on the dark web website, or the next link in the chain called warehouse. Warehouses store large quantities of products. A warehouse can be either a single person or an organized group of people. Their job? Break it down into smaller bulk or retail packages, ready for the runners to drop it off. Couriers are an expendable commodity for most dealers, and they are arrested quite often. It is obvious that the law enforcement system most often works along a bottom-up chain. Goes first to the courier, then through him to the warehouse, from the warehouse to the carrier, and then to the laboratory organizer. At the top of this pyramid are most often specialists who know and can do everything. What does everything mean? I mean literally everything. A top-tier cook doesn't just need chemistry skills. He's got to be a physicist, a welder, a builder, an electrician, a plumber, a HVAC expert, and ideally all around a cheerful guy. Because with that many skills, tools, and formulas crammed in your head, without a sense of humor, you just simply go nuts. Now let's break down the key factors, the stuff that makes this whole business even possible. Precursors are chemical reagents used to cook the product. Most of the time, they're sourced through shady black market logistics and all kinds of corrupt pipelines. The apogee of mastery and forbidden cookery is the independent synthesis of all precursors, while smuggling can still be countered to some extent. This, what you call full-cycle production, allows criminals to evade punishment for a longer period of time. The next step is establishing the sales channel, of course. Turning a bunch of precursors into a finished product is one thing. Turning that product into money, that's a whole different game. That's a completely separate, high-risk operation. But with the rise of Web 3.0 and dead drop-based marketplaces, distribution has become the easiest part of this whole criminal chain in the entire history of the industry. Part 1. Design and Construction. So how and where do you build a proper lab? First step, cartel technicians scout out a location where the whole operation will go down. Most of the time, that means renting or buying land with a house or a warehouse. It all basically depends on how well you want to shield the place from law enforcement, and on the creative brainpower of whoever's running the show. Next, the site gets inspected and divided into zones where each stage of synthesis shall be conducted. Those zones are mapped out on blueprints. Yeah, crime's got qualified engineers on its payroll too. The operator, or a full team, builds out each zone exactly by the blueprints. Just like in the civilian world, isn't it? Same stages: design, project approval, construction. And if the boss knows what he's doing, the crews will be kept separate, isolated, strangers to each other, never meeting face to face. Meth confectionery is usually divided into areas for bromination, amination, and oxidation. This is the thesis name for the production steps, which result in chemists obtaining meth's flour. A crystallization room is designed and built separately. This step's crucial for the criminals. It boosts the product's quality, shelf appeal, and, of course, the price. Once the zones are up, it's time to install HVAC systems so the chemist doesn't suffocate to death mid-shift, which, by the way, happens more often than you'd think. HVAC systems are usually paired with filtration units to catch the fumes and toxins that come standard with this kind of work. The ultimate pro move here is making a full-blown supply and exhaust ventilation system, an intake via a compressor with a heater, and exhaust handled by a multi-stage filtration rig, packed with solid and liquid absorbents. This way, associated odors are kept to a minimum, and that's very important. Odors can be so bad that even hardcore special forces have to go outside to cry when a laboratory is apprehended. Smell's also one of the biggest giveaway risks. Scent trails are easy to track by dogs or gas detectors. The right kind of stink from the right direction alone can lead them straight to your underground setup. When HVAC is up and running, it's time to install and calibrate the production gear. Shelves go up, equipment gets set in place. Reactor, nutch, truck filters, compressors, and whole 9 yards. This kind of gear either comes off the black market or gets manufactured in-house by the syndicate. So the lab's up and running. What now? Part 2. Production. What, in fact, do they brew? What commodity is relevant on the market in the USA and Europe? Able to recoup all the investments and risks in this business project? You're probably thinking of methamphetamine. Amphetamine and heroin used to be the topical commodity. Now the market is flooded with homemade fentanyl and meth. Some chemists don't change traditions and are still engaged in the production of amphetamine, but it is still worth recognizing that there is much less of this product on the market. Back to the topical. Meth is the most popular drug. It's not surprising. The main users of the drug are young people. Young people like to have fun and have an active sex life. Meth makes entertainment brighter and also increases sex drive and socialization many times over. This makes it a regular at parties and clubs. It's quickly eliminated from the blood and extremely affordable to be purchased by any social group. Meth is gradually squeezing cocaine and ecstasy out of the market. But it is important not to just make a popular product, but to do it in a quality and safe way for consumers. You've certainly heard the term drug purity, haven't you? What affects that? The quality of drugs. 2 main things affect product quality: the quality of the precursors, the chemicals involved in the reaction, and the quality of the filtering and purification process during synthesis. Most rookie cooks don't know much about purification or chemistry in general. They just wing it. And then there's this attitude. A lot of cooks and lab owners just simply don't give a rat's ass about the users. Few ever think about consumer health, let alone take real steps to reduce harm. For most people in this business, it's all about money. Doesn't matter how many lives get chewed up along the way. There are very few real specialists, responsible people, and really talented chemists, but they do exist, and they've been working for a very long time. By the way, it's because of this that funny names like methadone champagne appear on the market. In fact, it's just a dirty product, because the crystals of methamphetamine should be transparently clear, like a baby's tear, and the flour and powder from it should be snow white, not pink, not yellow, not champagne-colored. It's all deception and pathetic attempts to justify negligence at the production stage. Also important to point out that quality is also affected by the way the product is stored and transported. If the product is poorly packaged, it will suffer from the effects of the environment and weather conditions. Water, dirt, soil, aviation paraffin all depend on where the product was stored during its long journey to the end consumer. When all the links of the chain are connected, the criminals end up with a finished product. But that's not really enough. How do you turn that product into cash? Part 3. Distribution. The route from lab to market is a full-blown system. It involves all kinds of specialists, each tied together like a clockwork. As long as the parts stay intact and in place, the clock keeps ticking. By breaking just one part, you can shut down the whole mechanism for a while. That's why when building such a system, the organizers have to carefully choose each worker in every link. When everybody's in position and follows the plan, the whole setup runs like a Swiss watch. Like I said earlier, first link in the chain are the mules. They grab the fresh batch straight from the lab and move it to the buyer or run it to the warehouse. After repackaging at the warehouse, the product gets handed off to the runners. They're the ones making the dead drops. Looks like a spy movie, ain't it? Selling. The safest and most profitable way to sell is through your own marketplace. No admins over you. No one secretly snitching on you to the law enforcement. And every batch you sell wholesale eventually gets pushed down the line. Mini wholesale and then retail. The platform takes a cut from every transaction. Let's say the manufacturer moves 100 kilos to the top vendors. They sell it to mid-tier shops, say 5 to 10 kilos apiece. Those shops push it further 1 to 5 kilos. And the final tier sells it by the gram. Every one of those steps drips commission back to the marketplace. That's cumulative income. Speaking of money, how much does it cost to build a lab? The price range is huge, depending on the organizer's ambitions and resources. For instance, a huge hangar registered to a Fugazi construction company. That would be between $500,000 and almost $1 million to spend on construction, but that one was an enormous factory. On average, labs aren't that large. To set one up, you need about $150,000 to organize production in a country house with 100 to 200-liter reactors. If we are talking about top-tier factories, 2- and 3-ton reactors, the investment will reach $700,000 just for equipment. Professor Moriarty's forecast. I should mention that science and tech never sit still. Modern chemists and CARTEL engineers are working on developing a clustered system of drug production. Doesn't make any sense? I agree. It's worth explaining. This means building miniature, remotely operated robotic reactors. You actually need just one person. A mule whose sole task is to pour the contents of a marked canister, A, into a tank with the matching label. This way, the system operates automatically without a person nearby. No person, no case by law. Creating new equipment is much easier and cheaper than finding a new person willing to risk their life and freedom. It also eliminates the need for training. The clustered reactor system will replace human labor and be virtually immune to legal prosecution. Detecting a robotic lab like this will be an extremely difficult event. Such a system can be installed inside any car, house, or apartment. To find it, the state would have to operate inside everyone's home, in their car, and even in their mind. If all precursors are banned outright, the state would simply kill the country's pharmaceutical and chemical industries. Adding more severe penalties, all the way up to the death sentence, would make the industry more lucrative, attracting even more skilled professionals. The technology I described, combined with the widespread use of anonymous networks like Tor and I2P, along with the growth of Web 3.0 in general and anonymous payment methods in particular, that complicates the very existence of government control over drug trafficking. In chess, this is called zugzwang, a situation where every move by decision-makers only makes things worse. Do the authorities understand the scale of the problem and the challenge they face? I sincerely hope they do. Do the authorities really know how to protect society from the inevitable decay caused by the drug plague? Certainly they do, but it takes time. Penalties. While that robotic system is still under development, humans are still held responsible for the work. If an employee harms the organization that takes good care of them, various penalties may apply, such as fines or termination of employment. If the damage is beyond what money can compensate, the issue is resolved through confiscation of property or harming their health, in rare cases even taking their life. Every cook who shows up for work must remember, punishment may come not just from their employer, but also from law enforcement. The average sentence for operating a lab ranges from 15 years to life. Buying your way out is extremely difficult, as labs are usually raided by SWAT. Before that, a full-scale investigation is carried out, accompanied by a huge stack of paperwork. The entire arrest process is recorded on video and then kindly uploaded to YouTube. There have been cases where dealers managed to pull their chemists out, but those are exceptions, not the norm. To sum it up, wrapping up today's podcast, let's recall the iconic show Breaking Bad. In my opinion, it's a perfect example of what the future holds for those thinking about working in this field. Why? Because from the very beginning, we see that a truly high-quality product was created by someone who had devoted his entire life to chemistry. Throughout the series, we witness a ruthless and often deadly battle for a place in the sun. It's all just like in real life. Everyone needs to understand, it may sound like easy money, but in reality it's pretty far from easy. According to statistics provided to me by an insider, only about 1 in 10 people who attempt illegal cooking actually succeed in making good money and building a stable, lasting business. The rest either die in their labs because of safety mistakes or get locked up for a very long prison term. Only in prison do they realize the mistake they've made, but by then it's too late. Think long and hard before you try to become Walter White. If you're smart and capable of learning, you'll succeed in any other, and most importantly, legal field. If brains and street smarts aren't your thing, setting up a lab is almost certainly a one-way trip. But isn't it fear of death that makes us truly value life? Isn't that right? And remember, thinking you're smarter than the authorities or law enforcement will destroy your life. That's all for today. This has been Professor Moriarty. Take care. See you soon. Fun fact: at an average of $215 per gram and LSD at $3,000 per gram, rank among the top 10 most expensive substances on Earth, leaving both gold and platinum behind. The irony is that these substances aren't actually that expensive to produce. Their high price is mainly due to the harsh penalties for their production and distribution, along with steady demand despite all bans. And the harsher and stricter the ban, the more lucrative is your business. That's a fundamental axiom. Remember it.